Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Saya Syafzan Johari. Malam ini kita akan berbicara mengenai open data ataupun data yang dikongsikan oleh pihak-pihak seperti kerajaan atau agensi-agensi kerajaan secara bebas dan terus kepada seluruh rakyat Malaysia, kepada seluruh rakyat menerusi contohnya menerusi internet. Dan kita ada seorang tamu dari United Kingdom iaitu saudara Antonio Acuna. Mereka merupakan Ketua bagi data.gov.uk dan kita akan bicara bagaimana data.gov.uk, satu portal perkongsian data di United Kingdom, dapat orang kata dijadikan sebagai satu benchmarking dalam open data dan bagaimana Malaysia boleh ambil pengalaman dan juga apa yang mereka lakukan untuk kita melakukan ataupun kita adakan aplikasi atau platform open data yang setara sama hebat dengan UK. So, izinkan saya berbahasa Inggeris. Now, let us start with what is open data is all about.
Right, open data. Open data is a worldwide phenomenon at the moment, and for a while, that is basically data that is released without conditions. So it's data that has no license attached to it, that allows you to do whatever you want with that data in a format that is open, that is not limited to a very specific piece of software, which means that you can grab that data, reuse it, commercialize it, do whatever you want with it.
It's like open source.
Very much like open source.
And what kind of data that we can expect from open data?
Well, from governments, of course, you will expect budgetary data, data on salaries, for example, environmental data, data on transport,
health,
geospatial data, location of things, for example. Everything happens somewhere. Very important to have geolocation data. And you will also expect things like buildings that government owns, lease time, all sorts of information.
Why do I need to know, as a citizen, why do I need to know this kind of data?
It may be that as a citizen you do not necessarily directly need to know, but as a society we need to know how our country is being managed. That's the principle of open data. So open data goes together with a concept called transparency, which is a transparent government. It's a government that does its business in the open. As they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So, you bring out everything you do into the open. Put it out there so people can look at it, so people can take you to account, and so people can help you better your services and come up with new models in which to maybe fulfill gaps in that service. So you can expect a whole spectrum of data, for example, coming from government. Open data is not limited to government, but it is where the action is happening mostly.
So it's about governance?
Yeah.
And what's beyond governance? I understand that you can create opportunities and savings.
Yes, absolutely. If you think about it, if you think about the point of an asset, a data asset that tells you where the hospitals are, a data asset that tells you the time in which the trams are coming in and out, a data asset that tells you expenditure on types of drugs, all right? Perfect example, in the UK, we published a couple of years ago all the prescription data.
All right.
That is all the drugs that all the doctors prescribe across the National Health Service.
Okay.
About a couple of days after we published it, a group of people got together and began analyzing that data. Throughout the analysis, they discovered that for statins, which is a very commonly prescribed drug, doctors were prescribing the most expensive one, the branded one. If they would have prescribed the cheaper one, which is the generic non-branded one, just on that drug, the NHS would have saved £200 million a year.
That's a lot.
So, there were many other drugs. So if you think about in terms of the power, the analytical power of a whole nation, so it might not be my mom, your mom, might not be them, but society, the analytical power of society, the things people can do with this data that we, government, cannot do. We can, you can run the country, you can do this, you can do that. There's a limit to the amount of things you can do with your data and with the services, because you have to run them. When you bring the outside world and say, well, this is what I have, this is the information, this is my business intelligence, this is my metrics, these are my data, what do you think? And they begin to work with you, that cooperation between citizens and state. They say, well, actually, we can help you here. Or actually, we can point out something you've done wrong, and we think this is how you fix it.
Okay. How transparent is those data? Take UK, take data.uk, for example.
Transparent, everything there in the catalogue is open. Everything in the Data.gov UK is accessible to people. Everything, you can do whatever you want with it. Okay. It has a tremendous amount of data.
All right.
Right. It also has a lot of applications that have been done with that data by other people. So it depends on what you call what you want to call transparent. It's wholly transparent in that sense. Everything is there. Everything is put out. Everything you can think of.
All right. And how do you know that those numbers are the correct number, the right number?
They're the numbers we use. So that is the data that's being used by government.
And churning out the data, if you go to the website like open.gov.uk, how easy those data can be comprehended? How do you need to have like something to translate the data for us to, like, say, realize or to comprehend the data?
It depends. If I'm going to give you data on, for example, surgeries, that might be a bit more difficult to comprehend because you will use a vocabulary. Of course, you can download the vocabulary from the site as well, you know, but you will need to understand how operations are done and how they're managed across the National Health Service to understand what they mean by X, Y, or Z. Right. We provide that information as well, but some of it is more accessible than others. Some of it is very complex environmental data as well. So it depends.
Okay, let's look at the features that you have here in open.gov.uk. If you can look at how, I mean, we can just look at Antonio's iPad, if we may. Yep, this is your iPad now on air.
Excellent. Can I take it home? So, if you look here, for example, this is the search area, and we have 27,160 results. Of those, there's a number of them that are unpublished, meaning they're a registry of data. So we have this, but we haven't published it.
All right.
And this is when we plan to publish it, because that's important. So you know what the government has. The others are public. They're available. And although we try to make it easier for people to find it by themes and so forth, the reality is that, you know, with 27,000 data sets, you know, the easiest way to
This is from
do
what year?
This is now.
Okay. What, I mean, those are all data from...
It will have a mixture. Some of it will have historical data. Some of it will be starting from 2009, 2010. Some of it will be data that we just started collecting last year.
We have to take a first short break, and when we come back, we'll go back to the website and see how we can churn out data. Okay, kita akan jumpa lagi selepas ini. Lagi dalam agenda Awani, masih bersama saudara Antonio Acuna dari data.gov.uk. We'll talk about open data, and you have something to show me.
Yes, I figure that hospitals might be an interesting thing to give you an experience of. So I have searched for hospitals, and one good example is, for example, hospitals in North Somerset.
All right.
I know it might not be of huge interest in Malaysia, but you find the information, you find the data set that you can download, and you can find information about the files or the questions you had, like when was it updated, when is it from, if it was yearly thing, for example, it will show the years and it will tell you for each year. For example, we have something called in the UK a National Information Infrastructure, which is a curation of the most important data for the running of the nation, something we have done. This is all the hospitals in the UK. And you can see how very quickly you can download it if you want to as well. But right there, you get all of the information. And as I mentioned to you, I mean, there might be, if you can see on the top, there might be some bizarre, you know, unique headings that pertain to how the hospitals are managed across the UK. So you might go like, what is that? We provide you with a file that tells you what each one means, so you can do it. But here it is, every single hospital, its identifier, where it is, the location, across the whole of the UK. Now you can put that against the map and very quickly plot where all the hospitals are.
And that's automated?
No, it's not automated because you'll have to decide exactly what you show and how you show it. That's a good idea. I'll take it back.
Yay.
But also, if you think about it, we also have information on the budgets for all the clinical commission units and which hospitals fall under each clinical commission unit. So you could also take that, put it together, and not only see where the hospitals are, but see who manages them and see what budget's being spent on them. And you can do that very quickly, actually.
Well, we have like similar approach. We have, of course, data.gov.my, all right? At the same time, we also receive like statistic from the statistic department, and every quarter year, if I'm not mistaken, there'll be documents from the parliament for publics to access. But I'll still remember every time the documents come to our newsroom, it'll be like, and you're going to take the power of the whole newsroom to actually sort through.
Absolutely.
So, and some of the interesting headlines, of course, reporters will kind of sniff for stories, hot stories. Like, it'll be a bit challenging.
But this will make it easier. Because if you actually had a story and you wanted to find out about that, you could very quickly find out budget against the managing units, against where the hospitals are, if there was something in a specific area. You could, all of that could bring it together if your data people will very quickly bring it together in a nice little Google map or whatever, you know, and give you a visual that is based on factual data, you know, canonical data. You know, this is government says, the state says, where our things are. So it simplifies your life enormously.
All right, thank God. Besides journalists, who are kind of people benefits from this?
Well, researchers, obviously, you know, there's a plethora of wealth for researchers of data they couldn't get access to before because it was in the department, somebody knew it existed but really wasn't sure, all sorts of reasons. Citizens, we've known a lot of citizens that actually just wanted to know. For whatever reason, or because they strongly believe in X, Y, and Z, they wanted to know, they wanted to check. And being able to do that, it's almost like creating a trust link. And look, I have nothing to hide. Here it is. You know, and it may mean nothing to you, or it may mean that you want to check it. And the moment you check it, you're actually acting on that trust relationship that we've created. Okay, if you want to see it, it is there. I am not hiding it. Builds that kind of thing. And you have, of course, startups. There's a wealth of data for applications here. Because when we start to bring things together, I want a house that's near to a hospital.
All right.
That is near to a train station. You know, that has a good school. All of that is published. You can build a small application that tells you, sure, I'll check how far away from a station, how far away from a hospital, you know, what type of school. Well, here you go. These areas have that.
Let's say about how hospices benefit from this.
There's a benefit internal as well. There's a benefit for government, okay? Because it's also making us aware of our own data.
All right.
So government is realizing the wealth of data it has, because departments work in silos generally. But we need to know about something. Okay, let's do a research contract and let's do that. And unless it was something very well known, like the census data, which every department in almost every country knows about and probably use it, all the verticals are unknown. And Department X will do a contract to find out exactly the same thing Department A did a contract last year to find about. Suddenly now they just go here and check. So, but hang on a minute, we do have data already. Let's use that. We need to make it better. We need to magnify it. Fantastic. But we're not doing the whole thing. So departments themselves are changing. Government is beginning to change. It's beginning to understand that it has power in data. And it's beginning to wonder, how can I make it? How can I use that power? So we're talking about training civil servants to better understand the skill of data science, the skill of managing them and playing with data, to try scenarios, to model data, and so forth, and get a bit more data scientists coming into government to help with that evidence-making policy, so important. So it's doing a lot of changes inside. And of course, that example I gave you of the NHS, that's 200 million saved, basically. And there are so many more that between the outside and the inside helping us, it's fantastic. If you're a company and I'm the NHS and I said, I want you to help me be leaner, you're going to have to come in dig through all of my data, try to find all of the business metrics just to come up with a model that may help me be leaner. Or I can put all of my data out and say, well, it's there. Can you take that, please, and make some sense of it? Far easier. And far cheaper, probably.
We have to take another short break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at data.gov.my and how we can be as good as yours.
Okay.
Kita akan rehat seketika, jumpa lagi selepas ni. Kembali lagi dalam agenda Awani, masih bersama Antonio Acuna from data.gov.com. data.gov.uk. And we're going to take a look at data.gov.my, our own open data platform. And let's take a look. If you look at it, it's a bit, I would say, simple. But others, we have quite information. I mean, important information like tourism figures and facts, and we have 363 data sets from 17 ministries and in 10 sectors. What do you think about that?
It's good. Simple is good. Let me put it first. Okay? Simple is good. Always keep it simple. It has the right things. It has mobile apps. It has resources. It has a good number of data sets. Okay, if you start it pretty much, okay, you know, it takes a lot of time to convince all the entities that own it.
17,000.
Yeah, but we started in 2009.
Okay. They started when?
You know, so there's a bit of time there to pass. But it's actually it's hitting the right things. It's upfront. It has the areas that, you know, mobile apps, things that immediately can help you, a citizen, take the benefits of open data. Okay, so it doesn't stay as an abstract kind of government thing. It immediately goes to how it can help you. It has resources. Okay, so it helps you with resources. It helps you if you want to find out more, if you want to do things with this, and it takes you straight into the data, which is the important thing for most people. So it's actually right. I wouldn't necessarily worry about 300. You know, that will grow. That is marvelous. Some countries don't have any. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have 300 out there, and you have a public commitment. You know, and you have a site, and it's there, and it has mobile apps and things like that. So actually,
we're doing it.
The ecosystem is emerging. It's well planted there. There is a will that this is important.
How to push for more information? You. Yeah.
You guys are the ones that can actually help with it. Because data journalism, okay, is a prime example of where this can help enormously. It will make you, more responsible as a journalist, because you're talking from the facts, you have the numbers, you can say, actually, no, sorry, it's there. You see what I mean? So you don't have to necessarily jump into assumptions. You can speak with the facts and the power that facts give. Also, it gives you a wealth of information that you do not have access to. So it's important for you as a journalist to have that data, and also it means that your government's being transparent, your government's being open, it means that the relationship and the narrative is beginning to take a different tone.
You're right.
A more co-partnership between the state and, you know, the people, those who manage the government, the country for us, and us, the one who elect them, kind of thing. If you think about those terms, you know, so this, you are probably the biggest power to make it continue.
With the power comes responsibility.
Absolutely.
That's what.
But it is that. You want this, we want this, everyone wants this, and you can help by highlighting the good when the good is done, and by asking for more when it's lacking.
Is there any advocacy group in the UK who pushes for more data, for transparency?
Many. We have the Open Data Institute, for example, which was formed.
Do we have it?
I don't know if you have one here. But there are many nodes, what they call nodes, in many parts of the world. Okay?
Nodes?
Nodes. So basically it's like an affiliation to the Open Data Institute. And the Open Data Institute is head by Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web.
Okay.
So, and the Open Data Institute does amazing stuff, amazing stuff. And one of the things they help with is raising awareness of open data, helping startups and companies begin to utilize open data, and helping governments understand how to do open data, the right way and how to build those connections. So, and we have a lot of civil society people, a lot of groups that are helping us. We are part of something called the Open Government Partnership, which is I forgot how many countries are in it now, but it was started by Brazil, United States, and the UK. And it has a large number of countries members. And it's all about open government, and it's all about trying to do things like this, and every country makes an action plan. And that action plan is about things they will do in that year to promote openness and to promote transparency. And you're supposed to write it with civil society, and they're supposed to mark you on it.
All right, so civil society plays an important role here.
Absolutely.
And is there any other countries that besides UK and Malaysia you can take, for example? We have like 1 minute more.
Well, United States has it, Latin America, Uruguay, Argentina, Mexico. I mean, all throughout, especially Latin America, for example, civil society is driving this.
All right.
And is building relationships with the government.
And okay, but not all information will be freely. There are some sensitive information.
Yes.
So how do you differentiate from sensitive information and those which is insensitive or not sensitive, that is free to use for public? And I mean, advocacy group, what kind of data that we should ask for?
Well, you should. I mean, as long as you're not asking for personal names or personal addresses or name of children or disabled people, anything that could create discrimination against a person or a group, for example, is very, very, very delicate. In the United Kingdom, there are laws, for protection of data to avoid precisely that. So you couldn't identify specifically somebody and act on detriment of that person. Past that point. And as long as it's not, for example, the plans for your nuclear stations, something that is of critical importance to the nation, you probably wouldn't put out there. Everything else is open.
Okay, we have a couple more seconds. How do you foresee open data will be in about 5 to 10 years' time?
The status quo. You can't go back on this.
It could be like this, and it will become stronger with more data.
It will become stronger. It will be the way governments work. Cannot do it any other way, globally.
All right, thanks a lot. Antonio Acuna, the head of data.gov.uk. We talked about, kita bincang mengenai perkongsian maklumat urus tadbir kerajaan serta pelaksanaan open data. Dan kita melihat sikit bagaimana opendata.gov.my berfungsi dan bagaimana kita boleh improve atau memperbaikinya dari semasa ke semasa. Sekian sahaja agenda pada malam ini. Perancangan hantarkan ke platform sosial media kami. Saya Syafizan Johari. Assalamualaikum. Thanks a lot.